guys, it's Friday morning and it's time to do some dune buggy work. It's been a busy week. I've done a lot of stuff around here. I posted in the previous video how I got some stuff put together. I actually got motor put back together. This was the motor that I have out of my 74 Super Beetle. Kind of threw it back together, put the head back on it, and it's in the bug, or it's in the dune buggy. Check it out. And now I just need to hook up the cables and some wires, and I don't know, all the brake lines are hooked up. Maybe we can bleed them and take this thing for a cruise around the neighborhood. What do you think? That might be coming up soon. But today I want to walk and talk you through an issue I'm having. So I've gone back and forth on this quite a bit. Originally I had put in, you saw the previous video, one of the previous videos, I put a lowered or adjustable beam on the front of the car. Well, the control arms were aimed so far up and the geometry was all wrong. I wasn't comfortable with it. And the bottom part of the controller, or the beam, was maybe 1.5 inches off the ground. Now, yes, I do have 2.5-inch drop spindles, so I made an executive decision. I put the stock beam back on. I took everything off of the adjustable, put the stock beam back on. It's in place, and I love the stance. I absolutely love the stance of the car. Take a look at it here. But the problem is, right there, I've got no space between the fender and the tire. And that means even right now, it's gonna rub on the fender. And when my new front suspension shows up, it's narrowed and adjustable, but it's narrowed. So it's gonna go in. It's gonna pull those tires in underneath that lip. But right now, I can't do that. I just don't have the capability to do that. So I came up with a solution. And this is that solution. I reached out to our friends at Apple Tree Auto. And I have this empty 3-inch lift kit. It's basically a boxed C-channel that goes around the side, as well as a fully boxed front and rear, well, C-channel on one of the components. But it gives you a 3-inch lift for lifting the body up off of the chassis. And that's what we're gonna install today. So I gotta move a car out of the way, and we're gonna lift the body off and carry it out in the driveway so we can get to the chassis. So that's the beauty of an unfinished Manx body, is it's pretty light. I lift it off myself, carry it out in the driveway. Now I want to get this done because I think there's some thunderstorms coming in today. I don't want to leave that unfinished fiberglass out in the rain. So I'm gonna bring these parts in and lay them out on the chassis. And it's nice because it bolts right to the rails, or right to the edges of the chassis, and then across the tunnels, and it comes with all the hardware. So we'll get that all laid out, and then I'll bring you closer and I'll talk you through what we're doing. Now, one of the challenges with these chassis is when you don't have a body mounted to it, those pans are very, very flexible. But once you get this all in, I'm probably gonna go in and grind the edges down and tack it. So this becomes a subframe. For all intents and purposes, it becomes a subframe on the car. It bolts to the pans, and the body bolts down to it, or through it. So it really does become a subframe for the car, and strengthens the underside of your chassis, because you got a fiberglass body, it's going to have a lot of flex, and the chassis is going to have a lot of flex. This is going to give you a lot of that rigidity. All right, let me walk you through what I've done. I took it off camera for a few minutes, did a little work. Now, I've rough bolted the side channels to the body. I ran the provided hardware up through from the bottom, along with some of the body mount washers that go into the underside of the channel. And what I did is I just took a washer and a riv nut, an M8 riv nut, because I'm going to use the riv nuts and put those onto the fiberglass body. I'm going to crimp those onto the fiberglass body so that I have a good mounting surface in the future. So what I did is I went around, put 2 of those on either side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And the front, it's an M10 to tighten down that channel. In the rear, I put an M8 on either side with a washer just to hold it in place. Right now, I'm trying to, just trying to rough it into place, all right? Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten up these corners and then grind it a little bit just to get some clean metal and tack weld it. Once I tack weld it, I can take it all apart and I can weld it a little bit better because, like I said, I want this to be a tight frame. Now, what I did notice on the kit, I'll probably give some feedback back to the folks, the vendors, is these holes go straight up and down. All right, you can see they go straight up and down through the channel. Oh, that fell through. I'll show you up here. They go straight up and down. And that would be great. That would be absolutely awesome. Except the threads that are on the pans are angled. So the threads are actually at an angle like this. So I'm gonna probably come through and drill a new hole before I'm all said and done, before I paint everything back up to get rid of any exposed metal. I'll go in and I'll drill a new hole here so that these can go straight down through and bolt to the body. That way it's gonna tighten everything up and I actually have the proper geometry. But so on the side, you can see, like I said earlier, the pans sag if you don't have any weight on them. And rather than, lift and hold, I'm probably gonna slide the motorcycle jack under here and just lift it so that I can get a mating surface right there, and then I'll tack weld that. I'll bring it right back. So I ground down a nice clean surface there for my contact, and I have cleaned up the surface in between the two. I'm gonna push in to try to get this as tight as possible when I go in to tack weld it. So I'm gonna set the camera up and give you guys a shot of the weld. All right, it's not pretty, but it's functional. So now that side is all tacked together. It's hot, so I don't want to touch it, but right in there, it pulled the 2 pieces together. My geometry is pretty good there. Now I can go through and I'm gonna work on the other 4 corners, or other 3 corners, and then I'll bring you guys back. Well, it decided to rain. You probably hear more rain than you hear me. I had to cover up the body as best I could. Fiberglass out in the rain, unfortunately. So I've got everything tacked in, everything's held in. I went in, ground down my joints, my bad welds, and hit with a little Bondo. I'll let that dry, go back, sand that down, and then little rattle can on there to clean those up. After that happens, I think the rain's gonna pass. I'll be able to pull this off of the chassis. I'm gonna roll the chassis out in the driveway and flip the brace over and try to tack weld the bottom side of it. All right, so after getting the top side cleaned and welded together, ground down a little bit, and I even put a little bit of Bondo on the other side to smooth out some of those areas because that would be more likely to show. I unbolted it from the car, brought it in here, flipped it upside down, and welded the rest of it. Now I'm going to hit it with some rattle can so it doesn't rust in those areas.
Good morning, everybody. Papa slept through a lot of things. He didn't do any videos yesterday. Slacker. I have to go to work now.
Time got away from me yesterday, and some of the video you might have heard some background noise. I had some guys here doing power wash on the house, clean the house up. Some buddies of mine do really good quality work. So I had to set the camera down, just too much background noise, but I wanted to keep working. And then I forgot to pick the camera back up. So I apologize to you guys. Hey, sorry. I'm gonna walk through what I did yesterday and show you where we are. You can see the body lift kit. It's back on there. I cleaned it up. I reprimered the corners from where I had welded it, ground it down, welded it, hit it with some black spray paint, got it back where it needs to be, and it's sitting right there on the car. Now, is it lined up perfectly with the holes? No, but that's why the holes are oblong. I think there's going to have to be some finagling and coordination. You can kind of see where the body lines don't exactly meet up, but part of the beauty of fiberglass is it will move to, and it'll go where we need to go. I'm actually pretty pleased with this. It changes the stance a lot. You can really see up here in the front, I've got that clearance that I need for those front wheels so that if I do hit a bump, the tire isn't going right up into my fender.